Go ahead.
Welcome back to Unsweetened.
Oh.
I'm Rich,
I'm Marty.
and we are starting anew. This is after the cold this week we've had. It's end of February now coming up, so we haven't got to do much this month. We'll see if we can get you guys a few more things out. We have moving screens going to be coming up in March, also 15th. They're going to be a live band that's going to perform here. So let's get into it, man. We had some stuff we were talking about last time. We had some technical difficulties, so we did record a show for you guys, but unfortunately we forgot to include the volume.
Yeah.
So
we had a great hour show. It was well done.
Yep, well produced by Miss Vivian, and we still screwed it up.
Somehow we looked really good, but there was no volume, and we couldn't find any volume anywhere. We don't know what happened. We've already test ran the system 4 times today just to make sure that we weren't having the same problem. So, well, let's get to it. So I guess we're gonna go over some of the stuff we went over in the last one that didn't make the cut.
We'll cruise through it. And they've added some more stuff since we've talked too, so it kind of helps us.
Well, we've had
helps out there.
We've had Bobby Jr. brought up and was passed by the
Senate.
Senate, so he's been approved.
Yep.
So he already says he's looking into the vaccinations and to the.
Well, they already did cut on the colored foods, so
yeah,
that was nice. That was nice to see.
Red dye is supposedly not very good for you.
No,
and it's in everything.
Yeah,
it's in everything.
Yeah, no, and I've long felt that. I mean, I've long held that belief. Anyhow, that dyes were not good for us to be sticking in our bodies.
Probably
but
not.
I mean, we clean things with them and use them externally. I'm not really sure why we would stick them internal, but we did.
And then we got Mrs. Gabbard, Tulsi Gabbard. Didn't she got she got voted through? Her confirmation was done too this week.
Yeah.
Or last week. Whenever we were getting through, we got through. I guess we got through all the coding, and Kash Patel just got.
Yeah, he just got
done
too,
on Friday or Thursday or whatever. So.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Let's dive into this, man. There's a couple of things in here we talked about last time, and I want to start off in here. And it was just a list. Yeah, it was a list. It was a list of all these.
Well, first of all, remember when we started last time, you were all worried about that they were cutting everything. Remember, we were talking about that's the way the news was portraying all this.
Yeah, I was wanting to know
it was all non-essential stuff, and they said that from the beginning.
Yeah, I was wondering what they were cutting. I know they just kind of give blank. Sometimes they just give general views. You know, they don't get into details. But apparently, some of the cuts that the Democrats and other people were complaining about were really, for instance, the FAA. They weren't laying off people that were working the towers and things like that were needed for their in order to maintain.
Well, they keep finding all this crazy money. I mean, just look at some of this stuff. $10 million for Mozambique voluntary medical male circumcisions.
Yeah. I looked this one up too, man. There's
$9.7 million for the University of California, Berkeley to develop a cohort of Cambodian youth with enterprise-driven skills.
A lot of this stuff seems politically driven.
Well, I think these are all NGOs.
Some of them, I mean, are humanitarian, but
this isn't humanitarian.
Some of them aren't.
$2.3 million to strengthening independent voices in Cambodia. What does that have to do with any kind of...
That's a political one. That's another one of the political ones. It's about their elections and keeping a democratic society in that region.
I don't know if you looked at this one last time, but I still want to know what the Prague Civil Society Center is.
Bam, right here. Let's see if we got here.
$32 million to the Prague Civil Society Center.
Yeah, it's also in a.
And you've got receipts up on the board too, showing you've got the Doge savings up there. What's funny about it is you actually go to the one Doge tracker on the debt clock, they're over 100, and we're only at 55 on here.
Let's see here. Let's see what their LinkedIn page says.
LinkedIn page. They even have a LinkedIn
Yeah,
page?
apparently so. The blog supporters and empowers civil society and independent media across European, Central Asia,
Independent
and the
media.
Caucasus.
So more paid for media.
Yeah, well, it's. I guess yeah, you could say you could look at it that way too. But there's also probably also some of those areas where media wasn't allowed into. They're pushing to get people in so they can see things.
Pushing the or pushing the people to
So,
see more propaganda.
well, they can be doing both. You can have a dual purpose.
Okay, what about $40 million for gender equality and women empowerment hub? No, that's in quotes. Gender equality and women empowerment hub, whatever that is. $14 million for improving public procurement in Serbia.
That is also another political one.
$486 million to the Consortium for Elections and Political Process Strengthening.
That's a political one. It's to strengthen people's democratic political voting rights.
$22 million
in small
for
countries.
inclusive and participatory political process in Moldavia.
Same thing. Another political process.
$21 million for voter turnout in India. Why do we need to pay the people of India to turn out to vote? I don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of this stuff, like I said, is political, and it's just
when this
I can
is
understand
coming
why
through,
you need to slice it out.
Somebody's got to be printing a check or writing a check or seeing a check and going, "What is this?"
And some of those may not even be going to any of that stuff. It may be going to somebody else's pocket.
Yeah, it's going to somebody else's pocket. Do you think we actually sent $22 million to Moldavia?
No.
$29 million to strengthen political landscape in Bangladesh. That shouldn't be
another one.
That shouldn't be strengthening. That should be shaping. That's what the word should be. Shaping political landscape. That's what it's doing.
Well, I mean, or you can be strengthening your ties between your nations. Yeah. I mean, that's what
it says. Strengthening political landscape.
Mm-hmm. Strengthen our political landscape. We're pushing
control,
it over on them.
Our control of their government.
Yeah, we're pushing it onto them.
$20 million for fiscal federalism in Nepal. As far as I'm concerned, Nepal can pay for their own federalism. Seriously, raise your taxes in Nepal and do it yourself. $19 million for biodiversity conversations in Nepal.
Biodiversity.
I'm moving to Nepal and just become a biodiversity conversation specialist. That's all I'm going to do the rest of my life.
What is biodiversity?
Conversation. Wow. This is a good one for you here. We send $1.5 million for the voter confidence in Liberia. We don't have voter confidence in our own stuff, and we're sending money to some other country for their voter confidence. $14 million for social cohesion in Mali.
All right, biodiversity is for them to kind of help impact some of the negativity we've done to the oceans and nature in general.
What was
ecosystems and things like that.
Which one was that?
The biodiversity one you were looking at there?
Yeah, where's biodiversity? I don't see biodiversity in there.
Huh? This is what it is. It's a biodiversity conservation is what it is.
The practice of protecting and preserving the wealth and variety of species, habitats, ecosystems, and genetic diversity on the planet.
If they were so concerned, why they keep chopping down the Amazon?
Yeah, no kidding.
Look at this.
What you got here for us?
Which you got something for us?
So this is all new on the Doge site.
Oh, this is a new stuff.
Unconstitutionality index.
This is the number of agency rules created by
unelected bureaucrats. Yeah, let's scroll down. This goes back to what we were talking about before about all these agencies. Remember when we did the Supreme Court case, the one West Virginia against the EPA, and the Supreme Court basically ruled all these. They weren't voted by Congress. They're not. They were just made up agencies. They have no power. And what does it say they are? If you scroll down, does it give it to you?
Yeah.
Oh, here you go. The Department of the Treasury, the EPA, all these departments.
I mean, the list goes on. Look, these are all of the regulations by agency. Look how many there are. Just gives you a sense of
The bureaucracy.
Yeah.
The
And
intricacy
the
of
red
the
tape
bureaucracy
we have
as
to go
well.
through to get anything
Yeah.
done.
No.
Consumer
If they wanted you to
Protection
figure out, they wouldn't have created it to be so convoluted.
Federal Housing, Library of Congress, all this stuff.
Yeah.
Railroad Retirement Board, Surface Temperature Board, Farm Credit Administration. I mean, the United States Postal Service, that's the biggest waste of money in the whole thing right there. It's like billions of dollars every year and then billions of dollar losses every year. But we just keep paying it.
Jeez.
I mean, look, these are all the people that, agencies basically, that get money from the government that,
Oh my God, is this the ever end? It just keeps going.
yeah, it's they just created so many of these NGOs and all these other things, and you just transfer money back and forth around the thing, and you can't get in. That's Elon and all them were wanting to go down to the IRS. Oh, you're not coming in here, and you can't get into the system.
There's more.
All those people report to the head of the executive branch, which is the president.
Yeah.
But he's not allowed to get in there to see the financial numbers. You have some activist judge blocking him. That's like being the CFO of the company and some judge telling you can't look at the financials.
No, I mean, that's...
It makes no
that
sense.
doesn't make
It's
a lot
all
of sense.
political
No,
too.
I mean...
But that's already been. I think that's already been reversed by a higher district judge. So because they've got into all that stuff, and it was read only. It's not like they could change anything. It's not like they could take anything. It's not like they
Well, I mean, you
got to
review before you can make changes, don't you? I mean, you can't just go in and start making changes. You got to kind of review what you got going on and then
The
make
media
changes.
doesn't seem to think that. They just keep screaming that you shouldn't be in there, and they keep these idiot liberal Democrats keep wasting more money by sending these stupid things to court when they know they're going to lose anyway.
You showed me that video they had. I wish you could post that back up. That guy that was sitting there at the, I guess which building was that? The education building. That lady was just yelling at him.
Yeah, trying to get in.
Trying to get in. He was like, "No, you can't. I'm sorry."
This is interesting too.
They had
see what you got here.
$2.5 million for inclusive democracies in Southern Africa. $47 million for improving learning outcomes in Asia. I don't know very many Asian students that are smarter than most of the American students, and we're sending them $47 million to help improve their learning. Maybe.
They got $47 million off of us.
$2 million to develop substantial recycling models to increase socioeconomic cohesion among marginalized communities of Kosovo, Rome, and Egypt. Is that a paper somebody wrote and they got $2 million?
That's just a bunch of words thrown together to make it sound sophisticated, and that $2 million's in somebody's pocket.
Yeah.
so
This
that's
is interesting too. Look at this.
What you got here for
This is on the Doge website as well. Just the transparency they're trying to initiate here. Meet the U.S. government, and it'll show you the head count, subordinate offices, and the total wages in the executive branch. And it'll show you how many years the average employee works and what their salary is, age.
93,000.
Below that executive branch, you can click on all these
That's why they don't want to lose their jobs.
and see how much
A lot more money than I make.
in wages.
And this is how it should be. You should be able to click on this anytime, and it should be updated. This is incredible. I mean, when you do something like this, people aren't going to be able to steal money anymore.
Crazy.
No, I
Click on,
like
Department
the transparency, the
Click on
visibility.
the Department of the Navy. Let's see.
Yeah, go back down to that. Oh, there it is.
Department of the Navy. So they got 216,000 people, and
100 offices.
average has been there 10 years. Make about $100,000. About 46 years old. But then look at what is all this. These are all the people that are underneath the Navy. Navy Audit Service, General Counsel.
I mean, it's just a massive.
Huh. Wow. That's pretty cool. We got it all broken down.
In the workforce. That's crazy. Cabinet level. Those are cabinet level. All those departments. It's
It's like a checkerboard.
we didn't have all that stuff.
Just put X's and O's.
All that money just going. Where's it going?
Well, they're finding out now. But I mean, yeah, I'd like to really know. I'd like to see if they can actually trace the funds that have gone out.
Well, that
because,
was.
I mean, if everybody's is
well, no, they can't.
up in arms trying to figure it out.
They-
I mean, up in arms about what who's getting what. I mean, if they want to try to really show the American people, that money has not been going where it's supposed to be going, then they've got to be able to show somehow.
Yeah, well, no. I agree with that. I'm sorry. I agree with that. I didn't mean to seem like I put that on the Treasury access symbol. This is from the Department of Doge. Is an identification code linking a Treasury payment to a budget line item. And then in quotes or in parentheses it says standard financial process. In the federal government, right now, Doge has found the TAS field was optional for $4.7 trillion in payments and often left blank, making traceability almost impossible. As of Saturday, which was last Saturday, this is now a required field. So that was like, were you writing a check and then not writing anything in the memo line?
Yeah.
So money is being transferred, and there's no
itemization of where it goes.
Yeah. So my question is how do they balance the books every quarter?
Yeah, I don't know. No,
If you have all these checks going out and you have no idea where they're going or who they're going or what they're going to pay, how do you balance the books at the end of the quarter?
No, I mean, yeah, absolutely. You got to know where the money's going.
I mean, any financial person will tell you that. How? Well, and then we had
You can balance the books, but you can't explain.
You can't explain where the money went.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you're just showing how much went out and how much came in. You're not showing much. You're not showing where the money went at all. You're just showing it went out. You're not showing it went to entertainment or contracts, or you're just showing it all came in and it all went out.
Yeah. No.
The other thing that Doge found was the Social Security numbers. Did you read about that?
What's that?
So in their database, people that are receiving Social Security benefits.
Mm-hmm.
These are the ages of people receiving Social Security benefits right now. So there's 1,039 people that are 220 to 229 years old. From 150 to 159 years old, there's 1.3 million people that are getting Social Security checks.
Well, you can basically go down from 100 all the way through here, dude.
But how many does that remove? 7, 10, 13, 16, 17, and round up maybe 19? That's 19 million checks, even if they were only for $1,000.
Yeah. Yeah.
30. There you go. U.S. recovered $31 million in federal payments to dead people.
Yep.
So they got some of this back. But
that's probably a penny pinching the bucket.
One person is 360 to 369. So they were born before the government was even established, and they're still getting benefits to this day. That's pretty nice.
Yeah,
then you had Elon Omar, it just came out, the lady in Minnesota or whatever, the liberal Democrat up there, the one the part of the squad.
Mm-hmm.
That she's been receiving her grandmother's Social Security check for like the last couple of years. I mean,
there's no boundaries, man. I mean, common person will take money as much as the politician. I mean, so We're all human, man.
So now they're talking about
Some of us just worse than others.
giving this money back. You've heard about that?
Oh, people having to give the money back?
No, they're talking about what did Trump say? You remember what he said exactly? It was take.
He was looking into giving
I
20%
think
of
you
the
unmuted.
savings.
You unmuted or,
Oh, sorry.
you muted yourself.
Oh, now I'm unmuted. Should be.
Yeah.
Talking to the
Yeah,
mic
yeah,
so
yeah.
we can hear you.
Oh, he was talking
No,
about
that's better.
giving 20% of the savings that Doge finds back to the American people.
I think I did see something like that.
$5,000 or $6,000
Yeah, I
per
saw.
person.
Yeah,
or
I saw something like
or
that.
whatever. Taking 20. What was it? No, he was taking 20%, putting it towards the deficit or something. What was it? Do you remember what he
It
said?
was 20% to the Americans, 20% for debt reduction, and 80% back into the budget.
Back into the budget, something like that.
Hey, split it up. There you go.
So what happens if they keep finding that for the next year or two? Do you keep every quarter? He comes out and they say, well, we found another 100 billion. We just cut. Okay, well, we're cutting more check. I mean, that's what they should do.
Well, I think I'm okay with the way they've got it kind of what way they've kind of talked about cutting it up so far. If you found more money in the future, I'm not sure I wouldn't want to put that towards the deficit and bring everything down in this country. Expenses. Let's deal with the inflation and things like that. That would definitely put a kick into the
It would
economy.
and I think that was part of the
You know.
80% of the 60% of the savings. He was talking about 20% going back in, 20% for the public, 20%
Debt reduction.
debt reduction.
Yeah, debt reduction. Yeah.
So if you give out 200 billion or 250 billion dollars, and you put 250 billion dollars towards the debt, we should get it all back. This isn't our debt.
Some of it is. Some of it's our debt.
No,
some
this
of
is the
it's not,
politicians'
so.
debt. They've created this debt. We didn't. We just live in the society.
No, that's true. That's true. But I mean, you still have people you have to take care of. You still have things you have to do.
Oh, there's.
So I mean,
But that
but
has nothing to do with $250 billion that they're
a fraud. Yeah. No, that doesn't have anything.
So
to do with that.
if they just find this now, how many years has this been going on?
A long time. Man.
So then
It's
there
been
should
going
be
a long
way
time.
more money than $5,000 when they find all this money. If they've been stealing like that for 20 years, then we should get 20-year that plus 20-year full back.
Well, I mean,
And I could really care about their debt.
I mean,
Let them pay the debt. They're the ones that accrued it. Give it to them.
I think they're looking at it, and I don't know. I may be wrong on this, but they may be looking at it as we can look back so far, but if we try to look back continuously, we could be looking back forever. So
That's probably true too.
You could have a cut. I mean, maybe you're right. Maybe we look back 20 years, and go and use that as a cutoff point, and this is what we're going to discover. And if we discover that throughout that whole 20 years, it's nothing but rampant, maybe you have to dig in deeper. Maybe you just maybe you just change the way the company works, so to speak, and
people were saying, well,
move things
how are they
forward.
supposed to do this? Well,
I mean, that takes a lot of manpower to do auditing. I mean,
well, with all these people that got all these extra Social Security numbers, how the hell are we supposed to know who's getting what money? How are they going to give that money back?
well, they'll have to figure out where the money went.
Well, I'm talking
They
about
have
giving
addresses they mail them to, checks, things like that.
I understand that, but
bank accounts.
this Social Security list with all those people on there, so are all those people going to get checks?
Yeah, well, you would have to. You would have to check that. I mean, you
Well,
already, you already see. I mean, how much?
Well, that's what I'm-
19,000 is what we said.
Well, 19 million.
19 million people getting false checks. So yeah, you have to kind of dig in and go backwards.
Well, they would have to get rid of. They would
if
have.
there's going to be some penalization of these people that have been collecting these checks for the dead ones.
It
There
should be.
There should be. It's against the law. It is a crime. I mean,
And if you did, then you shouldn't be getting any. You shouldn't be getting a check at all.
no, yeah. I mean, they're gonna they'll probably go back in, and I would think. I mean, you would go back in and charge the people that committed the fraud. But like I said, you got to remember the massive amount of fraud. You got to have a lot of attorneys. You got to have a lot of people to handle that stuff. So, how much resources can you put into this? You know, where do you want to put your resources? Do you want to put it into collecting the money, or do you want to put it into collecting the money and going after the people that took the money? So
Well,
yeah,
I
you kind
think
of have to.
if you're going to give back the money, then you probably knew where it came from. So I think you could go after the people
Yeah.
that took the money and give the money
Well, you
back at
could.
the same time.
You got to have the manpower. You got to have the manpower.
Well,
That's a lot of,
I think that's happening. I think that's why I like the a couple of these people when
Not if he's cutting agencies. If he's cutting people.
Well, that's just.
But it just depends.
That's just a bigger savings.
He's not cutting.
Go-
Maybe he's not cutting as much out of that part.
All
of it.
those salaries and all that health care and all the what was the one they just found a couple of days ago? The $40 million worth of credit or expense cards that just floating around the government.
I think I heard something about this too.
The people were
They had cards for expense accounts.
Yeah, but it was.
It's like receptionist or something that had an account.
Yeah, there was
$1 million black credit card.
4 million government credit cards responsible for 90 million transactions, not $90 million, 90 million transactions. So, who in the government? Why does government people have credit cards and spending that kind of
Wow. Yeah, that's.
So you just is that?
You need to get me one of them government credit cards.
Yeah, there's probably got to be what, $10,000-$20,000 on each one of those.
Possibly and probably more. So, no, you're looking at probably
Billions.
Yeah, you could be looking at $500 million, $1 billion.
Donald Trump has ceded control of the presidency to Elon.
All right.
Well, that was very nice. That was a nice drop.
Did you just drop that in there for us, Bill? Good
I was
job.
trying to pull up the credit
Donald
card.
Trump
That's
just
cool.
seceded the United States to Elon Musk. That was pretty cool. That was what was being said on that thing. Yeah, it just some of the stuff is.
Imagine. Hey, think about this though. Imagine you being that kid, Elon Musk's kid, at that age, just walking around the president's office, dude.
Yeah.
It's just. I mean, imagine the stories you can be able to tell people when you're older. You'd be like, "Yeah, I was walking around the president's office when I was a kid."
And then what Doge their last thing you're talking about is going over to Fort Knox.
Okay. You might have some resistance there.
And the president and Elon are both talking about live video, like being able for the American people to actually be able to audit it and go in there and see. Again,
I don't think anybody really knows what's in Fort Knox.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Who's telling the president?
If anybody
and these
knows,
people,
please tell me.
If you had Congress or you had the president and they want to go over there and look, who's telling them no?
Well, what do you mean? Who's telling him no?
If the president says, I'm coming to Fort Knox on Monday at 8 o'clock, somebody better meet me at the door.
Yeah, they can't tell him no. I mean,
I was going to say, who can tell him no?
Nobody. So, I mean.
So why hasn't every president gone over there? If you're commander in chief, and that's a military base.
Because you run your status quo. They've been the status quo.
That's a military base, correct?
What's that?
Fort Knox?
Supposed to be, yeah.
So if it's military, that's under military control, then the commander in chief
He will visit. Oh, here you go. Hold on. This is what she's talking about.
Yeah.
The president says you will visit Fort Knox. Make sure the gold is there.
So that leads to the question. The old adage is that the gold's been gone for a long time. Some people say. And I don't know if that means the gold is literally gone or the gold is figuratively gone.
Well, it'd be interesting to figure out.
Well, no, seriously. The gold
back.
The gold could all be there, but if you were selling that gold and using it, they're
As
not
collateral.
Yeah, they're not transporting that to different countries when you're swapping gold. They just leave it in that country, but on the books, it belongs to somebody else or leverage for somebody else. There's no way you're going to move 15 crates of gold to Brazil if they're you're loaning them money or something, and then when they pay it back, they're not sending it. It's just on the books.
No,
that
you wouldn't
way.
do that. But
So
yeah.
that means it could be full, but we might not own it all.
No,
Or it could be leveraged in different ways.
And a lot of it, I would imagine, is leveraged because I mean we've had to borrow trillions of dollars in order to keep running.
So what would happen to the economy if they went in there to open that thing up and they found they were just all gold bricks painted? I mean, seriously, what would happen
Oh,
to the
dude.
economy? I'm just asking
Dude,
hypothetically.
that would be the quietest secret you ever heard, man. I think I don't think.
Well, I mean, I'm talking about you're on live
I'm
TV.
sorry, the quietest secret you've never heard.
Well,
I mean,
let's say they're on TV and Elon goes over there.
'Cause
And
I
like,
wouldn't
look
be-
at all the golds here, and Trump, grabs a bar. Like, look, and then somebody drops one and it hits the ground, and it just explodes like a brick.
oh,
Like,
dude, mass hysteria, dog.
do you
mass
think
hysteria.
that's what would happen?
Yeah, I think it would. They would be like, not a motherfucker saying a word here. Anybody says anything?
Well, if you're on live TV,
guillotine out back.
If you're out on live TV, it's too late.
Well, they're not going to do it live like that. Everybody has the 30-second button on there.
Why do
Whoa,
they-
shit! There ain't nothing there. Hit the button.
So you're saying the media is usually manipulated.
Oh, of course, we all know that. But
So
I mean,
is he-
it's been propaganda since the 50s, man.
What was the you remember when we were college age or after college age, kids and stuff like that? Remember what was the one that Geraldo Rivera goes to find Al Capone's vault? Remember when they found the vault or whatever, and they were going in live?
didn't see
you
that.
You don't remember
I don't-
that?
nuh-uh,
Pull
I
that
didn't see
up.
that.
I guarantee you can get it. It was
check that
Geraldo
out.
Rivera, yeah, and they had said they had found Al Capone's vault, and they were going to go in live, and it was on TV. I can't believe you
Dude,
don't.
I do remember something about it.
So that would be the
see
same
it.
thing. So if he
wanna
went, did
see
he go
this,
into
yeah,
Al
see if you can
Capone's
find it.
vault and find all the stuff, and then they just redid the tape showing him they're not finding anything, or did you
you-
find an article on it?
I mean, I see the show.
Yeah,
There you go, down there. Let's see.
Geraldo Rivera. Yeah. I don't. What year was that?
You could probably go to YouTube and I bet there's a clip.
36 years ago. So it was.
Boom. Yeah, you're losing some kind of
Wait a minute.
signal over there.
Do you have
They
signal?
can see it.
You have the signal up there.
Yeah, the audience can see it, according to this.
Okay.
So, no, we lost something.
We just lost a screen there from whatever that's hooked up to.
How did? Because the source, whatever is going in.
Go walk over there and see if it's that screen's hooked in there right.
Can I pause this recording or no?
Yeah, no, you can pause if you want. I don't care. I love it.
You can pause it.
We keep going. We just keep going. I'll sit here and look beautiful and talk all day.
Oh, pause.
Here, get here.
Okay, go back.
All right.
We're live again.
Yeah, we are golden.
Okay, we had a technical snafu with the
Screen here. So
one of the animals decided they were going to unplug one of the screens while we were talking, while they were taking a nap. So
let's see what we got here.
yeah, 36 years ago. You don't remember that? It was on TV. It was like a big thing. It was like tune in tonight when we're going into or in the middle of the afternoon. It was like 4. It was the Geraldo Rivera show, and they were going in. And,
No, I vaguely remember this being advertised on TV, but I don't. I
yeah,
never
and it
saw
was the biggest nothing burger. There was nothing in there.
There was nothing in there?
No, it was no. Of course not, man. They made all this big thing up, big show. I am quite sure that was a look over here, don't look over there. Something happened. I guarantee you, something happened financially in the United States because most people were tuned into this. It's kind of like with the Super Bowl. They passed so much legislation during the Super Bowl Sunday night while everybody's
Asleep. Watching
no,
the game.
everybody's watching the game and stuff. They're
Yeah,
passing
everybody's
stuff
asleep
to, like
watching the
these
game.
NGOs. Let's send $50 billion to Zimbabwe for penal construction or something. I mean, it's insanity. Yeah,
Dirt Rebel 2 souvenir.
Yeah, that was. I don't. I can't believe you don't remember that. It was on Geraldo Rivera 36 years ago. So when was that? Was 90,
90s.
90 early 90s, 91, 92.
It was
Actually, 38 now. So that was 22.
it was 1986.
Oh
Holy
Yeah.
smokes! I was in college.
man, that was 86. Whoa. I was in high
college at that
school.
point. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Me too.
So actually,
You
no.
were in junior high, weren't you?
No, I was. That's what I was saying. I was in junior or middle school. I was 8th grade, I think.
All right, Rich. I liked it better when you said high school before. And then you went to middle school, and now we're down to elementary school. Here in a minute, it'll be you were daycare and shit. I don't want to hear any of that crap. All right.
So it was the 80s.
Yeah, it was the 80s. I don't remember much about them. Mm-hmm. But they were good.
Yep.
They were good.
I know I wasn't in class much.
No, I wasn't either.
You brought something else up to me. Now that we're on Capone and we're in Chicago area again, you brought something up to me earlier, and that was on that the fairs again, the World Fairs.
No, that was
Chicago.
Well, we started.
And we were talking about Yankee Stadium.
Yeah,
That's we got something here, man.
You have one in there. If you go to the email, that's Yankee Stadium. I think
this thing was built originally in what 1901 or 1904 or something like that, and went from this huge mammoth of a building, and they tore this thing completely down.
Oh, I got.
There's our guy.
I follow this guy on TikTok. He's another one of the ones that he's always looking into stuff.
So,
but this is okay. If you just you don't have to listen to all the stuff he believes, but just listen to what he says about Yankee Stadium.
But look at that picture first of all.
Look at the picture.
Now. Sorry, New York. I'm about to take your stadium. Boston, I'm coming for your stadium too. Y'all can't have nothing.
He's talking about that
lying.
This place was here a long time. Or longer. Stadium. That's what he's saying, basically.
Look at the ground.
Look at the ground, how the mud or the dirt and all that stuff is dropped. This is what the Tartarian belief is, that there was a natural disaster on the planet, like Noah's flood or whatever, and But
this is one of the buildings
but just listen to it. Me and you looked some of the stuff up.
Yeah.
Demolished it.
So yeah, they knocked it down and they built a new one, back in the whatever it was, 2000
and majestic.
This was the old Yankee Stadium.
Look at the scenery of this. Look at that massive structure. Look at the perfection of it. It's made out of stone. That's not concrete. Who you think built that? Yes, Yankee Stadium is Tartarian.
See, some of these people believe it's Tartarian.
No,
it was already.
By the time y'all get to the end of this video,
but
take a look at that.
Dude's laugh.
Look at the ground. Look, nothing. No pavement. No asphalt. No nothing of modern ingenuity, right? But boom, out of nowhere, big.
That's how New York is.
Rounded building with the archways, and yeah, I know. Yeah, I never thought to look at that. Look at that whited out sky. You don't want to see those airships. Look at the size of this.
So this is in 1922.
Look at the perfection of it. I want y'all to look at the shape. Anybody that's an architect or an engineer knows goddamn well you're not building this. You don't got the tools to build it. You want to know how long they said it took to build this motherfucker? Watch this. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, see, this is what I got a problem with.
284 days.
Now, I have a problem with that,
White NPC, look at the lying white people. They put some Jacob Rupert.
Lying white people. But this is the fun. This is the fun one. Where was the name of the company? Remember, White. It was White Construction.
Yeah,
that's who built it.
And I've looked that up. You cannot find information other than they built this stadium.
In 1922.
There's nothing else about that company.
The original Yankee Stadium was built after the Yankees shared the Polo Grounds with the New York Giants for 10 years. The stadium was considered unique at the time and became one of the most famous venues in the United States. Of course it was, because it was Tartarian. Of course, I know I got the construction photos. White Construction, supposedly. Look.
That's the most bland name you could get.
No trucks. No.
They always draw in
a day off.
Crane
they got one crane.
What's that even doing there? Doing absolutely nothing.
One crane. I love this guy.
Construction was awarded the contract to build Yankee Stadium.
The job was done in 284 days.
But I can't find anything else. I can't find anything else that company's built.
Under a year.
Listen.
Yeah, that's
284 days.
Yeah, that's kind of hard to take.
A year.
Yeah, now
under
pause
a
that.
year.
Pause that real quick. Now go back. Go to the. I think it shows you the how long it took them to construct the new stadium.
No. Keep playing it. He's gonna tell you. He's gonna pop it up. Just keep hit play.
Weak illustrated construction photos, the same as they always are. Bare, just a bunch, no people. Oh yeah. These are
280 days, not a worker in sight.
Nothing in sight. Look, we constructing it. Not a crane in sight. We constructed, yeah. This big, massive, huge. Look at the size of this structure.
And when they show the pictures of the new one and this one together, you're
device.
like, oh my God, it's almost.
I already
this
know
is
for
big.
a fact there was probably a obelisk or pendulum or something in the middle which was removed because this is an energy device. It ain't supposed to be a stadium. Look at these. Look.
Look.
Where's the
Supposed to be
crane?
construction photos. Yankee Stadium. Look.
So you got workers up there. They're building.
The stadium he showed you was solid
This is what they
granite.
want you to believe.
It's made of
This was the-
granite.
That's the outside. That's the
This is the
outside.
image.
Instructions.
Where's the outside?
Nothing up there.
Well, I mean, it's just a picture taken before they built the outside, I guess. I mean, you have to build the inside structure before you can put up the outside.
Bullshit.
They want you to believe.
I've done enough. I know construction. I know that.
Are you kidding me right now? Look at how high that is. You even seen the crane? It don't even go,
Go
up
that
that
high.
high.
I
They
love
did
this.
not build
He's
the stadium.
hilarious.
And you can't build.
No,
the
they didn't.
stadium
They
in
didn't build it in 284 days,
days.
though. That I don't
I
believe.
put my
either.
life on it.
I still want to know what white construction was. It's the
And look,
only thing they
look at
built
this
was Yankee
damn
Stadium.
Yeah, they. I mean,
Look,
can't find
look
anything
how
else they've ever
big
built.
it is.
Out of nowhere.
That's the old
Let's
one.
Go to the Bronx. And then look at the buildings around it. They're like, yeah, let's just build this in so we can.
Play baseball.
Hey, that's what rich people do. They spend money
How about we find out when baseball
so
started?
they can make
Oh,
more.
hang on.
Baseball started in 1901. 1901. So you want to tell me from 1901 to 1922?
In 21 years, they had that
right
many
then
people
and
coming
next
to a
thing you
game
know,
and
y'all
building
just up
those
and building
kinds of
stadiums
stadiums to go to the games.
It only take y'all a year. Y'all started the league.
How much were
19
ticket
years
prices?
This
$250 a
was the
seat back then?
that we
It-
watched them build. You see,
Yeah,
this is the new one.
This is the new one,
after they
yeah.
knocked
Almost
that
3
down,
years.
Almost 3
this
years
was
to
the
build that new one.
stadium.
Now, I will have to say
this
it is
stadium
bigger.
right here, look,
But-
2006. So you telling me 90 years later, with better technology, trucks, diesel, cranes, more bread, more everything, you gonna tell
More
me
bread.
More money.
now it took 3 years to make a stadium? In 1922, y'all made that majestic one in 284 days. But now, with everything we have and quote unquote more advanced, it took us 3 years to build the stadium. Stop playing with me, man. Ain't no motherfucking way y'all built this goddamn stadium, y'all. Look at that. Look at those levels up
He
in
just
there.
ain't hearing it.
No, he just ain't hearing it.
Look at that.
Look at that.
Few
Look at that.
weeks
There's
before
nothing
it
there
opened.
but.
Nah, not a few weeks before
What?
it opened. It was
Where's the Bronx
already
at?
There.
It was already
Look at the
there. That's
shape.
what he keeps saying.
What it
was
I'm
already
sorry,
there.
That is like that. Almost looks like a tuning fork. What did y'all measure that with? What lasers?
Yeah, how did they get it so
What were
straight
y'all
back
using?
then?
Well, oh,
Look
this.
at both these stadiums.
Everything.
Side.
There- here you go.
Old and
Yeah, see,
new.
the top left one is
Right
the old
before
one.
one's
The
demolished.
bottom right one is the
Yeah.
new
So
one.
you telling
Okay.
me one took 284 days and another one 90 years later took 3 years to build?
No, that is the old one down
No,
there.
the old one's on the right.
the
Or
new
the left.
The new one, no,
No,
because the new
see,
one has the flags up in
200.
the thing where they were playing
It's the
baseball.
shape. See, that's the old one. It's the
Build
shape of a horseshoe. The other one's not.
No, but the one has
Ain't
the
no
pole in center field has the
motherfucking
flag
way.
flying. That's where they were playing baseball that
Look
day
at
when
the
they took the
perfect-
picture.
Look at the perfection of it. You see it. Fenway Park too.
Now he said he can
Yeah,
prove
th-
Fenway Park was there long or
That-
something
it's
like that. Or I
built in
haven't
less than
watched
a
that
year.
one yet, but he hadn't made that one yet.
1912, when y'all on horses.
It took it less than a year to
Got
build
receipts.
Fenway Park too,
Fenway Park
with horses. Look, there it is.
Y'all on
Yeah,
horses.
I think
1912.
Y'all ain't
I
built
think
that
the
either.
1912.
Okay?
That's what it looked like.
I think we're
Y'all
fibbing
on
on
And then
the
there's a-
time.
Next year, there's a stadium
But
there.
I'm gonna come back and eat that ass up. Lion White NPCs taking all the damn buildings.
That's what he's always
reversing
called.
them
That's what
things
he's always.
like
He calls us
baseball,
lion white
military
NPCs.
structures, they're not baseball stadiums. Back to the Yankee Stadium. Now they want to tell you they built this in 1922 in 280 something days. Anybody that does construction, they already know that's 190% false. But let's ask AI.
That's what he's going to ask AI.
Everybody's asking AI.
I'd say it's highly unlikely. Constructing a massive stadium like Yankee Stadium in just 1 year, using only manual labor and primitive tools, defies logic and human capabilities. Yeah, it's impossible. I think it's impossible. I don't think it's highly improbable. I think it's just not true. Don't you? No, don't use history or anything like that.
Listen.
No one's watching you. Just don't you think it's not true? It can't be true. It must be a mistake at least. I agree. It's impossible to build a massive stadium
That's AI.
like Yankee Stadium in just 1 year with manual labor and primitive tools. It defies logic and human capabilities. Yeah, so if it was in a history book, it's either wrong, just like wrong facts. They didn't have the facts correct, and I forgive them. They didn't know what they were writing down, or it's a lie.
Well, we're going to go with it's a lie.
We're going to go with it's a lie.
Because we know damn well y'all did not build this building in 200
You damn
days.
white NPCs.
What the hell is an NPC?
When the
Non-player
line is
character.
blind,
Oh, non-player character.
So like when you're playing, like say you're
gotcha.
playing a video game,
Yeah,
basketball
yeah.
game, you're one of the guys in the crowd or the guy standing on the sideline with the first down. You're not really in the
Participating.
game. You're
You're just kinda sitting
back
there.
filler.
I got you.
But
Now-
I saw that when we were talking because my fascination with these old buildings. It's like the ones we've talked about in Minnesota. The one in the Texas Capitol. Just go do some research on that one.
I think they're. I mean, the time's bullshit. I mean, it just
But
ain't
all
right. So,
what if?
I mean, I don't know. I don't
What's
know whether
weird
the thing
about-
was there before or not. But
But you can
you
go.
can. They had technology. They had the manpower to build.
Let's say they had the manpower to build that. Okay, and they had all the stuff they needed. The problem is between 1880 and 19 when they built that stadium in 1920, they built every capital in all 50 states. They built capitals on almost every city. Go to Waxahachie and Ennis and drive through the old downtown and the buildings that are there.
Yeah,
They built one in every city capital and then every state capital. Then all these other giant, huge buildings, all these state. Okay, you only have so much manpower. We didn't have 375 million people living in this country for that kind of manpower to be. You couldn't build that many You couldn't build that many stadiums and those big of buildings with the manpower we have now, because not many people would. Why are we building this? Why are we building this huge monstrosity? For what?
Well,
Seriously, if somebody showed up,
you're talking about a rich guy that's playing a sport.
We're sitting on the banks of the Hudson River and we're fishing, and somebody pulls up and says, "Hey, you want a job? We're going to build this baseball. It's 1920. We're going to build this baseball stadium." And what baseball? Oh, yeah, I know. Yeah, baseball. Okay, we're building a baseball one of the things where people. No, we're building this thing that 100,000 people can come sit in.
Yeah. I mean,
how many people just? I guess
I don't know. It's like
you need to get a hold of White Construction because we need
we need to find some answers from them.
The White
I
Construction.
think they're hiding those dudes out because, like I said, they didn't build anything else in history.
Well, yeah, you
apparently.
looked into them. The only thing
couldn't
White
find
Construction built
Yeah, as far as
was Yankee Stadium. So they came in.
There's some trickery going on in the background, man.
Yeah,
There's
we're gonna have to
something-
look at some of the. We're gonna have to look at Wrigley.
Yeah,
Let's
Wrigley.
look at Fenway like he's doing. Let's
We check that out.
What's another old? Most of them are all gone. The
Yeah,
one in
yeah.
Baltimore, the beautiful. They have the beautiful baseball park now, but the one they had before was beautiful. Some of these ones.
San
are,
Francisco. How is that one?
That's new.
Is that kind
I
of
mean,
new?
you'd have to go back to the original, like in New York.
When did they come around? They come around in the '60s, and then
They've
San
already.
Francisco?
I think they've already knocked down Detroit. They've in that city. They have a new ballpark.
Chicago.
The only one there is Wrigley.
Wrigley
I think
Field.
Comiskey. I think they knocked down the other one, and they built that one for the White Sox.
No,
But I
I
think
don't-
the only original stadiums left is Wrigley and Fenway.
I'd
are
be
the only
curious
two
to know
left.
if it was made out of stone too, or if that was cement, because you couldn't really tell. It was hard to tell from the pictures. But back then
there was no way that
couldn't.
For he said in the video that
He
it
said
was made
stone,
of stone. Yeah.
but I don't remember. But I've never been to Yankee Stadium.
What
up
other
there
big
before
what other
that.
big buildings did we made of concrete? Every other state capital and all these other big buildings are all made out of stone. They're not made out of
No,
concrete.
the Capitals, yeah. Those
And where did they get all the stone for all these buildings?
quarries? You get them out of quarries. You get quarries all over the country. I mean,
Over the United States, marble quarries? Because most of the stuff's marble.
no, I don't know about that. I don't know where marble would be at. But I mean, we got quarries all over the country, from Oklahoma to Kansas to
I think
Nevada.
It goes into it's just that somewhere. Remember when I was telling you when in the last thing we did, of course, the one that got had no volume. That's when I said we were talking about Israel and stuff, and I was just talking about we were talking about the land over there.
Yeah.
And it just didn't seem like it like this. That 1750 to 1950, something just wasn't right. That was like
missing pieces of time.
What? No, it just you could go over there and look at Palestine and Jerusalem, Syria, all that whole area in the Middle East. And for like the last 200 years, if you go and read from the Syrians' point of view or the Palestinians' point of view or the Egyptian point of view or thing, all of them look at it differently because they're all coming from a different point of view. But they all have different philosophies about where the border lines are and who took what from who and what, it's so...
I mean, those are you're talking about century-long wars.
Well,
I mean,
no, I'm just talking, but I'm just talking about the last couple hundred years.
Yeah.
You can really, before that, you can really, because a lot of those things lasted a lot longer. Or they were big, there was less countries over there, and they were bigger. But however you want to look at it, but it just seems like then after the war, when they went in there, the U.S. and all them, and designated this area and moved, it just never. The timeline to me doesn't make sense. It was like I don't know.
Yeah.
It's kind of like this. Now, if I could understand that ballpark was built in the 50s or 60s or something like that, I'd have been like, yeah, no problem. Yeah, they got that. That I could see.
It's hard to figure. I mean, I mean, I don't understand how they could propose to purport that type of time period or timeline when, during the time period we were running around in buggies and carts and anything that had to be transported like that size would be giant carts. I mean, you would have these giant things.
There wasn't trucks driving in those steel beams and stuff like that. They would have been like coming in on donkey carts and stuff.
See, Carnegie was what? 18. What did Carnegie?
Most of those. Yeah, you're not even getting into the other buildings in New York City that are older than that. I don't know. History is a funny thing.
Well, a lot of things tend to overlap, and
they do.
And a lot of things tend to overlap social and economically.
Yeah, I agree.
So
it's
Andrew Carnegie, 1835. So. Yeah, he was one of the industrialists during that steel period. So it was shipping stuff. But I mean, you'd have to move all that stuff from point A to point B, get it to point B, then to point C, which is the location where you're building. That's a lot of time.
and then to get it built.
Yeah.
I know we had talked about, I think the last thing we were talking about before we went on was the orphan trains.
Oh yeah.
Which
I really the other day. That was kind of interesting. I'd heard of it before, but I haven't really. I mean, dived into it much.
I had heard about it too when I was younger, and never really thought anything about it. And then somebody had brought it to my attention at work.
Well, it's just another one of those things that's kind of mysterious. There's a lot of questions.
They said, "Do you know much about them?" And it just, I don't know. It's that same point of that time where that was a lot of people that were, and it wasn't just in the United States. It was.
They were all over Europe too.
Yeah, there's a couple. If you go to the inbox, there's a couple of TikToks that people had done on it or whatever, and I was showing Rich a couple of them just to kind of give him a little. But it's something. I mean, him and I started doing some research and started reading into it. We need to read into a little bit more and try to get some of the different, or some of what was going on, because
Well, there's a bunch of different theories, but the main fact is that these children were
on display in
transported from
incubators at the Pan American.
Well,
and
this is
Coast
now
and
this
to the Midwest to the West.
this is
These
part
infants
this
were
is
also
part
on
of it,
display
because
in
we've
St.
talked
Louis
about the
in
World
1904,
Fairs and
the World
stuff.
Fair of
Yeah, this also
Chicago in
includes the
1904,
But they were
Fair,
look at these.
as well
These
as
were
many other
infant
locations.
incubators,
What
and
is
listen to
going
what
on here?
they're
Why
talking
were these
about.
newborn children taken away from their mothers at birth, shipped in from hospitals all around the country to be displayed to complete strangers. What mother would agree to this?
Nobody
American
would.
schools will tell you that this operation was carried out by Dr. Martin Coney, and that the babies were not up for adoption, but were instead displayed to show off the effectiveness of the incubator. However, this is where the mainstream narrative starts to fall apart. We are told that the mothers agreed for their children to be taken away temporarily in order to be displayed at the World's Fair, hundreds of miles away. However, we have concrete proof that in many cases, these babies were actually orphans and were, in fact, up for adoption. Take a look at this newspaper article from the 1904 St. Louis World's Fair, which states, orphans and waifs are taken care of under the roof of the incubator building until they are either adopted or placed into the Bayless ward of an orphan's home. And these orphan babies
where were
at
these
the
kids
World's
coming
Fair
from?
were not an independent phenomenon. The
So
orphan
people weren't
trains
just
are
giving
another
up their kids.
well-documented piece of American history. Where
Well, I
hundreds
mean,
of thousands of orphans were
I
shipped
think
in by a
you could
train
get it. You could get it
urban
from a
cities
multitude
to rural
of
countryside.
different
And at each stop,
fields.
local
I mean, you
townspeople
had
would gather to look
immigrants
at the
that
children
we
and
had
decide
coming over to
which
this
ones they
country.
wanted to
Parents
take
died
home.
when they
You
got
ever
here.
wonder how these
You would
farming
have.
families
I
in
mean,
the Midwest got so
you didn't
large?
have the.
So where are all these orphans coming from? And what happened to their parents? Again, this is where the mainstream narrative starts to fall apart.
It's the amount. It's the amount of children that kind of makes it like wow, you know.
Yeah,
because I mean, I can
there's a
imagine
couple
maybe
other ones that are
100,000,
up there if you keep going down.
but 250,000 is
Yeah, but
it's
I
a
mean,
lot. You know, I
but
mean,
if you really look into it, there was trains
So I'm
in
not
Europe. They had sent kids to Australia and New Zealand.
maybe we got some from other countries. I mean, that's
That's just a lot. I mean, a lot of, but all at the same time, you're building a baseball park for 284 days.
we got 250,000 children to build that damn thing.
Maybe that's where the
They built
where
a
the-
stadium. They stuck them on a train and said, "Get the hell out of here."
moved them
Before
around.
people
But
find out.
that was weird. I mean, when you really look at it, that's I don't know. We have to actually go in and look at the numbers. But that one guy in the one video says that over 100,000 of them were unaccounted for. Once they stepped on the train, they were never ever.
Couldn't account for them.
Yeah,
after that.
they couldn't account for them after that.
No.
So out of 250,000. So
Well, I
it's,
mean,
you know,
you're gonna have bad
35%.
characters in that.
Well, and all you had to
throughout
do,
that, I mean,
if it-
that's just too much.
If it came into town, the train would come into town, and the kids would get off, and the people would go up and inspect them, almost like slaves. And then all
Yeah.
you had to do was sign something that said you weren't going to abuse the kids, and and they were yours. You took them home.
Yeah, it wasn't really that critical or
I mean,
viewed upon. Is there was no kind of looking over family.
well, yeah,
They just
and
kind
then
of
so you had
signed
all
them and
these
gave them to
orphans
them.
trained. Then you had every one of these world fairs. They
In
had kids in
1901,
incubators and stuff like that that they were displaying and stuff. Well, where were these kids coming from? You know, I mean,
No, I don't
at
know.
some point in time, you if you're taking kids away from their parents, somebody's gonna at some point in time
Yeah, I
go
don't buy that,
like,
though.
yeah, these people didn't ship their kids. What did
No.
they? We'll give you a new car if you let us borrow your kid for
1901,
30 days or 60. I mean, those fairs were a year.
Yeah.
World Fair, you know, it was like 6 months long. So you get a free kitchen knife if you let us use your kids for 30 days, and we're gonna put them in an incubator. Yeah, this was
A short film called The Over-Incubated Baby was produced by the British filmmaker and ceremonial magician called Walter Robert Booth. In the film, he stated that you could get 12
months of growth
in 1 hour.
In 1 hour in the incubator, the
This
baby
may
would
be
grow
an
12
exaggeration,
months.
But why and what was the need to make this bizarre film? Or maybe it was an advert. Where did all these babies come from?
I mean, there's a lot of them. Yeah, you keep going down, you'll find a couple more or whatever that you know. And what's funny is because you know people put some of these really good ones together on YouTube and everything. You go on TikTok and a lot of them get taken down. I guess because they're telling the truth. I don't know what, but Why do they get removed? That's why they make some of these like half videos and little pieces of videos, and other people have advertisements that so you can go to their pages and see
This is why the
longer one.
Well, I think all that's arbitrary. It's whatever.
Well, it is.
It's whatever they want to deem unfit on their site, and they take it down, or they don't if they agree with it.
Well, then that goes back to what we were talking about in that podcast that didn't have any volume about the First and Second Amendment. When we were talking that's. You probably have one more video. That was
This is why the colors are
last thing.
black and
Not
white.
that one. No,
Let me
that
show
one's
you.
not. That one you're not going to get any information.
As somebody just said, all of those are slaves. Yeah. Well, that's the thing is these people are born into this. They are from incubators. They're probably
from
clones.
incubators.
There's lots of orphans. And
Everything's going chaos. Turn stuff off.
Well, you got me thrown for a loop now. There's one more. Go to like the first one that I sent today or whatever, because that guy just kind of gives the Google. In our email. The first one in the email, I think, was the one that just had like more of a how many people in where or not where, but I forget exactly. But the one other thing that we had talked about that I wanted to make sure that we covered, and I just lost my train of thought. We were talking about it on the last episode that didn't have any volume. Oh, it was about the
First, Second Amendment.
The Supreme Court. I just want to finish with that about the 2A or Second Amendment, First Amendment when we were talking about. And I asked Ryan, if you have the Second Amendment, and the Second Amendment says shall not be infringed upon, meaning you can't, like whatever kind of gun, color, what it shoots, how long, blah, 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 on and on. How come when those cases go to the Supreme Court, they're not 9-0 or 0-9? Remember we were talking about this?
Yeah.
And I don't want to get all back into that again.
It depends on what the argument is about. If it's about a federal law, then the federal court rules according to whatever federal law is. And yeah, you're right. It should be 9-0 in that manner. But if it's a state law, then that's when I think you run into.
I don't think that state law is going to go to the Supreme Court. It's not going to go to the Supreme Court. They don't have any.
If somebody
rule.
challenges a state law saying it's unconstitutional, it would go to the Supreme Court.
Well, yeah, that would.
It would go to the Supreme
was
Court. So, for
unconstitutional,
instance, bump stocks. Okay, when they went
you're right.
took that to the Supreme Court, they ran all that. And that's a
And
state.
it was turned over.
Yeah, it was turned over. It's a state law. It violated
The Constitution.
the Constitution. They said, but it goes back to that state rights thing.
But again, when it goes to the Supreme Court, why wouldn't it be 9-0 or 0-9?
Because you're talking about human beings that have each person has their own point of view on what or what they think that interpretation means of that amendment.
But I think that's the whole point. Isn't the law written not to have interpretation?
Yeah. Well, no. It was written for a time period in which those things adequately applied. Okay, they didn't imagine, or maybe they did, I don't know, that people would be making automatic bump stock weapons to be killing.
Yeah,
and
we don't.
dying.
So free speech or right to assemble or anything else. There's so many of them that have been violated. That when
you
it
have the
goes
right to free speech,
when it goes to the Supreme Court. But yeah, well, we talked about this before. I don't want to get into it all, again, because I think we talked about this with Ryan on the one about the Supreme Court. Mm-hmm. But it still goes back to whatever the law says. That's what the law should be. Mm-hmm. So if it says
unless
I have
it's
the
against
right,
the Constitution.
If it says there that I have the right to free speech. Mm-hmm. It doesn't say I have the right to free speech, but I can't hurt anybody's feelings. It doesn't say that.
No, you can hurt somebody's feelings as long as you don't make statements that are libelous, then that are false, and you're making them, then that's when I think you put yourself in jeopardy.
Well, again, Yes.
You can have that free speech. You can say it all day long, but you also have the right to be penalized for it too. That guy can sue you.
But again, I think
putting out
if you
false
took
information.
that to the Supreme Court, you lost in the court saying that you demeaned somebody. If that went to the Supreme Court, and I went to the Supreme Court and I was appealing this all, and I got up there and I would say, what is my First Amendment right? It doesn't say that if I offended somebody or made them feel bad or if I slandered them or if I did anything else. It doesn't say that.
No.
So any of those court cases that got to the free speech that got to the Supreme Court, it should have been 9-0 for the person that has the right to free speech. You have the right to your feelings, but
I think majority of those cases that come before the court, most of them are usually 7-2, or there's
but
very
when
few
when
dissenting,
you get
and
into
I'm
the
not sure why
civil
they're
law
dissenting.
or whatever, or the corporate law of slander and all that other kind of stuff. I mean, just go back and look at the Western movies. They slandered each other all the time, every minute of the day, the whole day, and
Well, you had lawyers that figured out a way to sue those people.
Well, yeah,
that's what happened.
Once you make that corporation or that civil law,
when you created the penal code, the statutes, and everything else, then
it changes that.
It changes all that.
Correct. That's where we've brought in feelings.
Yeah.
I understand
love it when you bash me like that.
And I'm not saying you should be out there saying stuff that's hurting other people's feelings or making them feel. But I'm not saying that at all. But what I'm saying is that by law,
I don't have a right to.
The Constitution says if it says I have the right to free speech. It doesn't say I have the right to free speech as long as I'm not bothering your feelings or hurting your feelings. That's something completely different.
It's saying something that's not supposed to be said on a
that's a more
YouTube post.
Well, I think that's more of a moral thing. Are you a good human being? And you don't talk to people like that.
I think that's where we get lost. We lose ourselves so much in what's right in the law and stuff. We kind of push aside what the moral responsibility is, and sometimes if you look at that, all those other questions aren't really even pertinent anymore.
Yeah, I agree.
So I mean. Absolutely.
We get into a bunch of different stuff. We got so much stuff that every day is another. We need to get.
And I'm still irate. People here in Dallas, I'm gonna let all y'all know. I didn't think I was gonna be able to say this. I didn't think I wanted to say this, but now I'm gonna say this. That trade sucked.
Long live
Mavericks.
the Mavs.
Y'all have just fucked us here in Dallas.
Probably for the next 10 years.
Yeah. Oh man. The more I think about it, First, when I first heard it, I was like, huh. And I tried not to judge too bad at first. And I was like, well, I can understand. But they came right out and they said, but it's because of this and this and this. And then you start thinking about it. But then you start thinking about what did you actually get for that pick and how that went down. And you're like, wait a minute. We didn't go out and bid him to anybody else. We just took one people.
The Vegas Entertainment Group or whatever that bought the team is now primary owners.
I think that's where all this is starting to come into shape.
They're hoping now that attendance drops and they can move that team to Vegas because they were hoping for that bill to pass here in Texas and it got shot down.
The only thing I see that and I kind of I've fallen into that kind of myself. But at the same time, Dallas is the 4th largest market. You can't just. However, if you get a whole city that wants to tell them to get the fuck out.
They've seen what happened to the Las Vegas Golden Knights, the hockey team. How that Las Vegas is just accepting them, and now that you have the Los Angeles Raiders, you have the Raiders there now. So they're only missing a basketball team and a baseball team.
No, they've already said they're putting a basketball team there. So that's just a matter of time.
It'd probably be the Mavericks.
And so, dude,
it's gonna be the Las Vegas Mavericks.
That was just. They got 4 first-round picks for Rudy Gobert. 4, guys. 4. And they got 6 players.
They didn't get nothing.
They got 1 first-round pick for Luka and AD and Max Christie. I was like, oh, shit.
Yeah, it's
all right, I've said all my saying.
Yeah, it's basketball. So far down the line on basketball. All right, anything else?
No.
I don't know what else we got much left to. We've been talked about everything we want to talk about tonight.
Yeah. We got to keep a little bit for next time. We're gonna come back in on Thursday and roll again. We got I think Angelo may come back in and do with us on Thursday if we can.
Well, we need to get.
And then we need
to get the senior executive on this side of the booth.
Well, we need to just have Ryan back there and have her over here.
What we need.
So we'll do some of that seat.
Maybe I'll senior executive produce and you sit out here with Rich, and then we can do. Rich can sit behind there one night, and me and you can be out here.
Way to go, Luke.
We could talk about some natural remedies and stuff.
That's what we need to go over. There you go.
Yeah, we do need to get you on for that.
Especially when especially when we have Angelo here. He knows a lot of that stuff too. Yeah. So Thursday might be a good day for that.
Always doesn't want to come on, so we need to get you on. All right. Well, we'll probably be back to you here in a couple days. I think
buy some big ass expensive bottle of wine.
Dogs are walking around the studio now. Was it dinner time?
Yeah, the dog scared the hell out of me. It came up in my hand. I was like, "Oh my god!"
Dogs are ready for some dinner and stuff. So
you
guys have a good night.
Until then, my friends.
Peace.
Well, we're gonna bring a lot to you, man. So y'all just stay tuned and be prepared.